Okay. I don't have any specific prop usage planned today, but we will get through some heart opening if I can find my notes because they ran away. There we go. Yeah. I got here this afternoon. I got here early, thankfully, and I realized I didn't have my key. I had it in my hand. I found it because I was looking for it. I couldn't find it, found it. And then sometime between I found it and I'm on the bus, it disappeared. So it's probably at my house and it's fine. But I get in here and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be flexible and adaptive and find a way for us to practice. Eventually found somebody to get us down here, which was fine. And I'm just like sitting there thinking to myself, well, nope, there's absolutely no way we're going to get into the basement. So I need to figure out something to do with it. And then I was wrong. There was a way to figure out how to get into the basement because most absolutes are a really good way of fooling yourself. In that Think Again book that I've been reading, they were talking about how you lend the most credibility to yourself by presenting information with the caveat that there's got to be more information that I have out there, and probably this is the way it is, and I'm working on it, but I'm not like 100% so far. And there's that parable about the Chinese farmer who had the horse that ran away, and all his neighbors are saying like, oh, you're so unlucky. And the farmer said, well, maybe, maybe not. And then the horse comes back the next day and he brings like 4 or 5 wild horses with them and they all stay. And so now the farmer has more horses and he says, the neighbor's like, oh, you're so lucky. He says, well, I mean, maybe, maybe not. And then one of these crazy wild horses breaks his son's leg and his son can't work. And so the neighbors say, oh, you're so unlucky. And then the farmer says, maybe, maybe not. And then the next day, the army comes and they're recruiting all young, able-bodied men, and they don't take the son. And the neighbors say, you're so lucky. And the farmer, he says, maybe, maybe not. And my personal advice, my yoga teacher, my yoga teacher coming in would be to tell the farmer, also be lucky and, accepting of your circumstances as they come, because that is really cool that your son didn't get taken and you got the extra horses. But he's also acknowledging that I don't know where this is heading. I can do the best I can with what I've got right now, but it's probably going to change in the future. And the more that we're invested in that idea that it can change in the future is really, really powerful. I referenced that book. There was like if like all of us are sitting here and I say take a piece of paper out and draw a house, we're going to draw a fairly similar house, right? Like, okay, cool, draw a house, good, checkbox, square, triangle, maybe a little smoke on top if I'm feeling really cozy. But if I asked you to draw a house every day and said, let's get a little bit deeper into this house, you're going to probably either get really bored with drawing the house and give up entirely, tune out, or draw a more interesting house. They did this with kids in some studies, said, like, I want you to draw a house 5 times, and by the 5th house, it's this deep, rich experience, even with 5-year-olds, because we have this need as human beings to say, there might be more information out there. There might be more that I can discover from this, even if it's the 172nd time I've done a warrior 2. I have the capacity to maybe build a bigger house or a more interesting house or a different house than yesterday, because maybe, maybe not. Okay. Index finger and thumb together. We'll start with face brushing, going from the center of your forehead outwards towards your temples. And then from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. And then rubbing underneath along the underside of your jaw, your chin. And then and pressing in between the corners of your mouth and nose. And taking your fingertips underneath and behind your ears so that you can massage back in the soft spots and then lifting upwards from the bony spots. And keeping this lift as you rest your hands down into your lap. As you close or soften your eyes, starting to observe the body, taking notes, maybe trying to get a little bit more detailed with these observances as you're coming into this practice of awareness yet again. And in yoga, we call non-judgmental observance, we call it discernment. We can say is or is not. We can have an evaluation of, the way the body's feeling. We say tightness, looseness, soreness, but we do it without judgment. So we can recognize the way it is now, but also know that that is only just right now. In the future, maybe, maybe not. And then next time you breathe in, taking it in nice and full through your nose. Big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. As you start to open your eyes, you're going to take your hands and just come down to your fingertips behind you or your hands, depending on how high up you're sitting. And then start to lift your chest up. You can look up if it feels comfortable to you, maybe wiggle a little bit side to side if that's helping to stretch out anything in your chest. I'm just going to come back to that discernment, that analysis of how open is my heart feeling? What does this feel like right now? Do I like it? Does it feel big? Does it feel a little difficult? Is my breath still working? And then go ahead and soften back to the center and then come back to sitting just with your heart right up above your hips. Take your right hand down, reach your left arm up and over, and then start to relax your chin forwards. The back of your neck is long and create a big side stretch. One more exhale. And then come on up and set your right hand down or left hand down. Let that right arm come up and over, and then gently let the head move just slightly forward to make sure that the back of the neck isn't getting crunched up. One more exhale. And then come on up. Just take your hands down and go ahead and round through your spine. So let your heart rest back, let your head rest forward. See if you can relax a little bit more on your next exhale. And then start to pick yourself back up. Take those hands back behind you again and lift your chest up. Just noticing if it feels differently and how it feels differently. And as you exhale, soften it, and then bring yourself back up to where you're seated, heart up above your hips. If you need to change your legs, recross them, any of that, totally all good. We're gonna take the arms up. You're gonna hold onto your left wrist and pull it up and over towards your right. And then soften your inner shoulders. So maybe you can let those arms rest forward a little bit. One more exhale. And then coming up, switching the wrists, coming over towards the other side, and then let those inner shoulders, inner armpits relax. One more exhale. And coming up, and then you're going to interlace the fingers, press your hands forward, go ahead and relax your chin down, and like you're trying to push your heart back to the wall behind you and your hands towards the wall in front of you, start to really extend forward through those palms, rounding deep in that upper back. One more exhale, and then go ahead and lift it up. Let those arms swoop back behind you. You can take your fingertips down again, and then start to lift the chest up. And what we might think at this point is, wow, all of that movement's got my heart really open. This is as open as it's going to get. This is great, good, cool, good yoga class. And then go ahead and soften. And we're going to come down onto our bellies. So we're going to come down to Sphinx Pose. And then if you're feeling tender in the lower back, widen your legs a lot so that you're not getting tense back there. We're gonna try to push down in the elbows gently to feel the chest lifting up, and then take a little wiggle of your shoulders. Kind of just creeping them around a little bit. And then start to draw both shoulders back, and then look over your right shoulder. And see if you can soften your left shoulder back just a little bit more in case it creeped forward. And then take the gaze forward, and you're going to look over your left shoulder. See if you can sneak that right shoulder back a little bit more because it probably followed just a little bit. Mine does every time. And then come back to the gaze in front. See if you can open either of the shoulders just a little bit more. And then you're going to keep lifting the chest. Relax your head down. On your next exhale, see if you can relax that neck just a tiny bit more. And then you're going to pick your head back up and see if you can get any more lift up in the chest. Before you soften back down, go ahead and make a pillow for your head with your hands. Bend into your knees and let your heels rock side to side. Let your legs rock around so we can soften this low back. Let both of your legs roll over towards one side and you can set your feet down. Mine flop pretty far away from me. Yeah. And then let them move over towards the other side. Little twist. And then come back to the center. Go ahead and drop your feet down. We're going to bring the hands in by the low ribs and take 3 small, slow Cobra flows. So just go on your own, lifting up as you breathe in and then lowering. Feeling that open space in your chest, just noticing how it feels. And then when you lower down from that third one, we're going to lift the hips up and then push strong into the floor so that you lift the rest of you up. And then you're going to lower all the way back down, and it can be slowly or it can be smoothly. And then you're going to go up again and down again. And you can be done with 2 or you can take 1 more. It's up to you. We're going to lower all the way back down. Take your hands, shake your fingertips out just to make sure nothing weird is going on in the wrists. And then bring them back, and we're going to do 3 more Cobras. See if it feels any stronger in your chest. Maybe instead of feeling more powerful, you're getting a little bit tired. That's cool. We're going to be done with this in just a moment. Go ahead and come back down. And then one more time, pushing yourself up onto your hands and knees. Now, if it would feel better to you to just sit down and take an arm across the body, you can do that. And if you're feeling okay being on your knees, we're gonna slide the right arm underneath and come on to the outside of the shoulder and the head. And then you can, and you can even swing the legs out and just sit on your bum, whatever feels better to you there. We just wanna draw that arm across the body and stretch the outside of the shoulder. Think about your lower ribs dropping back in towards your spine, and you'll feel just a little bit more open space in the upper back. One more exhale. And then those of us who are down threading the needle, you're just gonna push that left hand down and reach the right arm up. If you're seated, you can move the right arm back into a little twist. And then if you're on your knees, you might notice you're a little sticky trying to keep to this position of your knees. So scooch the left one back. And then just a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a change might help you open that twist up a little bit more. You can bend the right leg if you're seated to get that similar effect. And then go ahead and bring the hands down. If you moved your knees places, move them back. And then we'll thread the other way, stretch the other shoulder, come on down. Again, letting the lower ribs soften in towards the spine to widen the back space. Take one more exhale. And then with the right hand pressing down, we're gonna open the left arm up. Notice how it feels. And if you feel a little stuck, maybe there's a little shift you can make, like moving that right knee back slightly, giving yourself a little bit more room to open up. And then take the hands down and we'll go back here. So if you're seated, just take, either way, we can take the right leg out to the right side. We're just going to extend the legs so that they're a little bit more open. And then you're going to come forward on the inside of your legs. So either that's going to be dropping down, maybe to one elbow, or maybe just to having your hands further out in front of you. One more exhale. And then bringing your hands back in under your shoulders. If you move them, we're just going to switch sides. So now the left leg is the one that's a little bit wider. And then resting your heart down, maybe your hands forward, maybe down to one elbow, maybe down to both. One more breath out. And then coming back up, I'm gonna bring, okay, come down to a seat again. Actually, let's do this. Yeah, I was like, what are we gonna do? Okay, so come into a seat, get yourself set up here so that you're just sitting comfortably, whatever that looks like for you, on whatever makes sense. And then just bring your hands just onto your hips here and take a little twist around. And then I'm seeing it, and you might notice it when you twist. We do soften in the belly, and then sometimes that comes into the shoulders, kind of creeping forward. If you might notice, you feel a little shorter there. So come on out of it, wiggle your shoulders back a little bit more, and then take your arms up and pull your elbows out to the sides so that you feel your chest opening. And then lift the arms up and keep the chest open as you twist over towards your right. So try to pull your elbows out. Yep. So yep, same thing, but just a little twisted. And then come back to the center. And then twist over towards the left. And then come back up to the center and over towards the right. And then back to the center and over towards the left. One more time. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then coming back here, go ahead and take the hands back behind you and then lift your chest up. Notice if it feels better, no different, worse, you're not sure than when we first came here. And then go ahead and settle. And then take your hands and start flicking water off of your fingertips. And do it a lot. If you make your thumb a barrier for the other fingers to come through, it'll get your forearms even more worked up and stronger. And then take your hands and interlace your fingers and then switch sides. And see if you can switch sides a little bit faster while still breathing and maybe not letting your eyebrows tie in a knot. Oh goodness. This never gets easy. It's like, okay, so now here's the one that drives me crazy. Make a figure eight. Try to figure eight the other way. Every time that I think I've got really good locomotive control, I try doing one of those things. I do what I'm doing. Okay, give it up. So we did those to warm up for down dog so we can move up to standing. Let's get into it. Go ahead and press those hands down. You can come to standing or a forward fold at any point. You never have to hang out in down dog, but I recommend trying at least a little bit of it for the whole bone density and arms thing. And you can always use this opportunity to walk through your knee heels a little bit so you can stretch the calves out. And then when you're ready, we'll come into a forward fold. If it feels okay to you to grab elbows, see if you can drag the elbows down just a tiny bit further towards the floor. And you can, of course, just hold onto your shins and skip that elbow grabbing if that's better for you. Then relax your neck, release the elbows, and start to bring yourself up to standing. Okay, let's scoop this. All right. I'm gonna do a long series of weird things in lunges. I'll start this way. So we're gonna take the right leg forward and then the left toes, you have options. So every time we do this, it'll be a little bit harder. Actually, let's take the back foot down here. This first one won't make a difference. So we'll have the back heel down and just the right knee bent forward. We're gonna take the arms up and then keep your heart right up where it is. Just make some circles and swoop through your arms. And if your shoulders are feeling tender and you keep a bend in your elbows, it'll feel a little bit better. Good. Okay, so this range of motion really works into the arms. Go ahead and lean forward. Relax your arms down for a moment. And then you're just gonna tuck that right hip back a little bit more because often when we lean forward, the hip slides out. So just tuck it back. And then you're gonna lift your arms and your chest up. Let them swoop back behind you as you exhale, lean forward and inhale, take it up. Let them swoop back, exhale, lean forward. Let's do 3 more. Try to keep that hip in. I think there's one more. If I'm wrong, you can stop. And bring your arms up. And put your hands down into your heart. And then we're just going to try to come up to standing, bringing the left foot next to the right foot. And then take your right foot back, same thing, warrior one. And then we're drawing this left hip back in. Let's take the arms up. Just while we're standing, just move the arms in the other direction. We'll go back to the other circle again when we start swooping down. Just to get a little bit of both ranges of motion. Next time you take the arms down, go ahead and lean forward. Notice the tendency for the hip to slide out. Pull it back towards your back foot and keep that. And now you're going to take your arms forward. Inhale, exhale, let them draw back. So same circle we took when we started all this. Pick the belly up. This should be working your abdominals. A little bit of sneaky core work. I think 2 more, because I think we did 5. And once you get back up, and then bring your hands down, lean forward, see if you can step up right to the front of your mat. And wiggle if you need to wiggle. We're going to go into warrior one again. Go ahead and step your left foot back. So we're going to take the left elbow and hold on to it, doing that little side stretch, reaching that left elbow up in the air, and then try to push a little bit more into your left foot. Exhaling. And then come on up. Release your arms back behind you. Straighten your front leg for a moment. Just stretch the chest forward, reach the hands back. If you wanted to lean forward and get a hamstring stretch, you could. If that's feeling undesirable to you today, you can stay up. One more exhale. And then lifting yourself up, release your arms. We're going to bend back into that front leg. Reach your arms up, make steeple fingers or Charlie's Angels hands. And then you're going to go up and over to your right. Now, as you side bend over towards your right, you got to pull the right hip back a little bit more. This one's a little bit easier, the side bend to this direction. Maybe, maybe not. Come back up to the center. Now, as you side bend over towards the left, you got to really stay strong in that front foot. So hopefully that knee is, yeah, knees and hips are all staying in line. It's a little bit weirder. And then come back up. Go ahead and bring your hands to your heart. See if you can stand up, lift your arms up. And then let them down. And then take your right foot back into warrior one again. And I'll take the right elbow and bend it. Hold on to it and stretch the right elbow up, pushing down into your right hand, or right foot. That's a foot. And then pulling back in your left hip. Big exhale. And then come back to the center, release your arms, straighten that front leg, take your hands back. You could also hold hips if that feels better to you. We're going to stretch the chest open, optional hamstring work. Still moving the breath. One more exhale. And lifting yourself up, releasing your arms. And then bend back into the front knee. Take the arms up, make your steeple fingers, and then reach up higher. And we're going to go over the front leg, so over towards the left, making sure that the left hip is pulling towards your back foot. And then as you come up to the center, keep pushing strong in that left foot so the left leg doesn't move at all as you side bend over towards the right. Make sure that your knee didn't follow you over towards the right. You want to see that it's still facing forward. One more exhale. And then coming back up, release your arms. Good. Okay, actually take them down and we're going to go all the way up to standing. Lift them up and then release your arms down. And then wiggle, bounce, take a little shake. We're going to do more. We're going to come back with the left leg. Now here's where you might want to go onto your toes. You may want to go down onto your heel. So you get to switch. If you have the heel down, your balance is going to be a little more stable, might be a little bit less strain on your foot. You're going to get a little bit less twist that way. So just being able to give yourself that freedom to know you're going to have harder balance or harder twist, and you just have less of a twist. So we're going to take the arms up, and just like we did when we were seated, we're going to pull the elbows out and do a little twist to the right. And we're only going to do to the right. Go ahead and take your arms back up. Inhale. Exhale, just to the right. So same direction, little twist. Inhale, back up. Exhale, last one, little twist. And then put your right hand at your right hip and reach your left arm up. So we'll be facing towards the right. Yeah. Pulling your right hip back. And then come back to facing to the front. Go ahead and take your hands to your heart. This time, see if you can take the back leg and lift it up into your chest and then just set it down. So just one little swoop and set it down. And then wiggle. And then we'll go towards the other side. I really got to watch that The legs stay really steady here. So you can be down on the heel or up on the toes. We'll take the arms up. The left leg is forward. So we're going to twist to the left. Bring your elbows out wide and twist to the left. And then inhale back up to the center, lift your arms. Exhale, elbows out wide, twist to the left. Once more, inhale. Exhale, elbows out wide, twist to that side. And then your left hand comes to your left hip and your right arm reaches up. And keep pulling that left hip back to your right foot. And then bringing your hands back to your heart. And then see if you can swing that right leg up before you set it down. And then wiggle. I have one more, just one. Okay. Like how much more can we make up? A lot, but we'll stop here. So take your left foot back again on the toes or not on the toes. It's going to be all up to you. We're just going to take the hands up and see if you can press your hips forward, your heart forward, and your arms up a little bit more. And then you're going to bring your palms together and bring your thumbs towards the back of your head, and then press your head back in your hands. Good. Excellent. Okay. From here, go ahead and pick your head back up, release your arms. We're going to take them down. Okay. And then you're going to take the left knee up. Try to stay up there when you get there. It's fine if you have to tap and lift it. And then you're just going to look to your left. Take your right arm forward, your left arm back. Little twist. And then let it go. Set your feet down. Good. That was really smooth. Just prepared for it with all of those additional steps. Okay, other side. So go back with the right leg. You're going to take your arms up. Start by getting your chest lifted up so you stay long in the spine, and then you bring your hands together, bend your elbows, put your thumbs behind your head, and then you got to kind of press your head back, but still lift your elbows and your heart up and forward. And you can be down on the back heel. It's pretty intense to be up on the toes, but it's a little bit more squared in the hips. There's always a trade-off. Maybe better this way, maybe better that way, maybe yes, maybe no. And then you're going to pick your head back up. You're going to release your arms down to give you a little bit momentum. We're going to try to keep the knee up, come up to standing. Ooh, taps are optional. And then left arm forward, right arm back. And then go ahead and set your foot down and wiggle things out a little bit. Okay, take wide legs. This doesn't matter which way you face, come on down. You just want a really wide stance with your legs, toes forward, and come down into a fold. Whatever you like here, maybe it's to wiggle yourself out. Maybe you feel good about grabbing elbows. Maybe you want to hold on to your legs. Maybe your hands come in close. Anything that feels good to you. One more exhale. A little bend in your knees. Bring your hands back to your hips and stand yourself up. And then bring your feet back in together. And leave the feet about, actually, let's bring the feet together. Yeah. So you're going to bring the feet together just so that you can still feel this inner thigh lifting up and forward action. Then put your head in your hands. Lift your heart up and try to rest your head in your hands while still lifting the chest up and forward. Yeah. Try to soften your inner shoulders. And one more inhale to lift the heart up a little bit more. And exhale, draw that belly in, stack your spine back up, release your arms. And then we're going to come back to downward dog just for a little beat, just to get that pressure of the hands down into the floor. Just give yourself a little visit. And then go ahead and bring your knees down. And you're going to come down onto your elbows. And then you're going to touch your elbows with your fingertips. So you need to get that close that you can touch opposite elbows. And then you keep your elbows there. Bring your hands together. And you have options. You can stay here, just pushing down in your elbows and let your head rest down. Or if you bring your knees closer to your elbows, you can get the knees up into dolphin. And if that's a little like a breath and then come down gently, you can do that. If you want to leave the knees down and just press down to the elbows, you can do that. One more exhale. And then you're going to go ahead and sit yourself up, swing the legs out in front of you. Take your hands back, lift your chest up. Let that soften. And then you're going to bring your right shin forward so it's like it's parallel to the front of your mat and start to slide your left leg back. So we'll go into swan where we're still sitting over the hip. And then you're going to come forward over that shin just as much as feels good to you. Tom, you're going over towards your thigh. Come more towards, your shin, your foot. Yeah. If you move this leg back, sometimes it gives a little bit more room. So if it's in here, it's going to be a little, One more exhale. And then start to walk your hands in. We're going to take both legs in front again. Now your right knee faces up and it can stay here or it can cross over depending on what feels good to you. You're going to hug onto your thigh, take your right fingertips, just your fingertips. So try not to have the hand on. You want to just be on your fingertips so that you're not tempted to lean backwards. We're going to lift the chest up and then hug the thigh into your heart as you twist. Take a moment to see if you can get a little bit more length in the back of your neck and softness in your lower ribs. One more exhale. Release and relax your twist. You're going to take this leg now and bring it on the inside of your foot. If it was on the outside, let your knee open up and come out towards your extended leg. If it feels better to be more on the inside of your legs instead of going straight towards the extended leg, you can make that modification here, especially today. We're just doing this to relax the lower back. So bent knees or whatever is going to help it feel a little more spacious. One more exhale. And then start to peel yourself up. You're going to take the legs out and wiggle them out a little bit. And then on the other side, I'll just swoop around. So you're going to have your left shin out in front of you, and then you want to slide that right leg back just as much as it will comfortably go. This leg position is kind of arbitrary, but you want to give yourself some space to come forward where you're going a little bit more towards your foot than towards your knee. And you can just come into whatever kind of fold, whatever kind of lower back release feels nice. And give yourself about 2 more breaths. And then start to bring your hands in. We're going to take the back leg, bring it forward. And then take your left leg, the one you were just folding over, we'll bring it inwards. And then if you wanted to cross it over, you could cross it over. We'll hug the thigh in and just have the fingertips back so that you've got a little bit of support, but you're not going to lean into it. And then letting your belly soften inwards, your low ribs soften inwards as you move into this twist. One more exhale. And then releasing that twist. We're going to take the leg, bring it to the inside. If it was crossed over, let the knee open up and then come forward over your leg. And if that brings the leg closer to you to make it softer in your back, just give yourself that. One more exhale. And then come on up. Bring your legs out in front. Your hands back. Press into your hands, lift your chest. And see how it feels. And let it soften. Bring your feet in so your heels are in closer to your hips. Press again into your chest. And if you'd like to stay here, you can stay here. If you would like to press up into altar pose, you can do that as well. Feeling your chest lift up. One more big breath in. And then gently lower your hips down. Go ahead and come down onto your back. You can shake out your fingertips. I'm going to shift the lights. Pretty sure it's this one. Yes. We're going to go straight into bridge pose from here. And bring your heels in close and then your shoulders in, and then go ahead and press yourself up into bridge. You could even focus a little bit more in your upper back today if you wanted. So really trying to get the heart up more so than trying to get the hips up, unless you can do both. See about reaching that heart right up in towards your nose, and then relax your shoulders and let your hips come down. And then we're going to wiggle the feet a little bit wider than your hips. And when you do this, you got to make sure that your knees aren't going to start to go crazy places. You really need to press down in the feet to keep them facing forward. Push down in your feet and see if you can get those hips up, and then wiggle the shoulders in. Now your knees might have adjusted their position. Push down into both the inner and outer edge of your toes, that your legs are still lined up beautifully, beautifully. And then maybe lift up your chest a little more. And then release your heart down, your hips down. We're going to put the feet back where they usually are, so a little bit narrower, and then go up one more time into bridge. Push down in your feet, wiggle the shoulders under. Maybe you've got more space, maybe not. One more inhale. And relax your shoulders, relax the hips down. Gently bringing the knees into the chest. Moving the legs around to relax the back into the mat. And then bring your knees out wide, your feet up, and reach back to hold on to the outsides of your knees or the outsides of your feet, whichever feels really yummy to you. One more breath out. And then release your feet, bring your knees back towards each other, and then set your feet down. You're gonna take your left thigh and cross it over your right thigh. Push down in the right foot so that your hips go over slightly to the left, and then open your arms out as your legs go over towards the right. I'm gonna stop where my foot catches me. If you wanted to go further or if you wanted to unwrap your legs, you could do that as well. Getting in deep into the outer hip in this one to help to relax the lower back after all of that heart opening. One more exhale. And you're gonna unwind your legs as you bring them back to the center. Wiggle your hips back to center. And then sliding that right thigh on top of your left thigh. Little hop over to the right with the hips, and then the legs go over towards the left. Notice if there's any lifting or tightness in the front of your right shoulder and trying to relax that. One more breath out. And then start to unwind your legs, come back to the center, give a little shimmy of your hips back into neutral. And then bring your arms down by your sides. Decide if you would like to do any more shapes, if you'd like to take a seated meditation, maybe sit up in a chair, maybe you keep your legs bent or slide them out. Doing whatever you need to come into a place where you feel rested and supported. Maybe you need to make a little wardrobe adjustment, anything at all. And then enjoying this beautiful rest, this opportunity to settle. Start to come back to your body. As you gently wake yourself up, preparing for the rest of your day, making some small movements, maybe reaching your arms overhead, eventually making your way over onto one side. Giving a moment of gratitude for making the time to come to your mat, to explore this practice, to draw a house in a new way, to draw a yoga practice in a new way. And when you're ready, coming up to your own version of a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands together at your heart and lifting your heart up into your thumbs. We seal practice, releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for being. I'm waving at everybody as if